Rev up your engines!
Well, a survey was done, and they claimed that nearly half of young Americans do not want to own a car. Now, when I was young, people couldn't wait until they turned 16 and they could get a permit and learn how to drive a car. Now, under this new survey, about half of young Americans would have something besides a car, like a service, but not have a car titled in their own name, like using Uber, Lyft, or whatever. Or joining one of those services where you can have a car for so many hours and then you return it, right? I cannot blame them because of one main thing, the cost. When you're young, especially if you're a young male, the insurance rates are... I've had people bring me in that they're paying $4,000 a year insurance. They're young, they don't have that much money. Cars are getting more and more expensive. The average new car is $47,000. And we all know what happens to young people who buy a used car. They got crow eyes. They see a shiny car. The engine might be falling apart. The transmission may hardly work at all. But hey, it looks good and they buy it. So they end up buying some junk or used car and they have problems with it because certainly they can't afford a $47,500 average new car. And the interesting thing was, when you compared the United Kingdom, Southeast Asia, South Korea, Japan, and Germany and China, a third of those people said, well, somewhat willing to not buy a car. Okay, 1/3. But in the United States, 45% of the respondents said they don't want to own a car. Hey, I mean, it's an expense. Buying a car is a losing effort in terms of any kind of economic situation you're in. You buy it, it's worthless. You got to put money in insurance. You got to buy gas. Got to buy tires. Everything costs more and more and more. For example, just a few years ago, I could get a battery for a car for $39.95. Now they're pushing $200 a piece. Everything costs so much more, and young people don't have that much money. It's not surprised that they don't want to own a car. Of course, this is the United States, and there are many of the youngsters, and I mean people maybe even in their 30s, who are still living at their parents' house, driving their parents' car. Of course, why would they want to buy one if they have one there that it's free? It's sitting there. They don't have to pay anything. Maybe they got to put some gas in it, but they don't have to buy insurance. They don't have to put the monthly payments down. They don't have to buy tires. Hey, it doesn't surprise me at all. A lot of them probably won't buy a house either. But the interesting thing was, of those people in the United States who said they would buy a car, get this, only 5% said they want an electric car. Now, 20% said they'd get a hybrid car, gasoline or rest, and the rest said they'd just get a plain old gasoline car. If the young people aren't going to be buying electric cars, and that's supposed to be the future, it doesn't bode too well for people buying electric cars or making them. A lot of young people are saying, we don't want to buy a car. It's getting so expensive. How are you going to afford a car, right? And if they are at college, hey, they're at college. Do they really need a car? Sitting there studying stuff? Sure, take an Uber. It would be cheaper. It would actually be a lot cheaper. I had customers that I lost when I was in Houston. They'd say, well, we're selling our car. And I'd say, why are you selling your car? They said, because we don't want to pay for that anymore. We live downtown. We found out it's just cheaper taking Uber where we want. And if we want to take a big trip, we just rent a car. And we got deals, so we can rent a car for a week for a decent price. And it beats the heck out of actually owning one. And they got a point there. I can't argue with that. Well, you want to know the 3 biggest car sellers in the United States? What are the 3 cars that sold the most last year? Well, guess what? None of them were cars. Numero uno was the Ford F-Series. They sold 765,000 plus of those. Number 2 was the Chevy Silverado at 549,000 units. And number 3 was the only thing that you might say is sort of like a car, a Toyota RAV4, which sold 475,000 of them. Of course, the RAV4 is an SUV, but it's a lot closer to a car than a Ford F-150 or Chevy Silverado, right? People are still gaga about SUVs. The RAV4s can run forever, and of course, if you get the new hybrid one, they get phenomenal gas mileage. I got a guy with one, he gets like 50 miles a gallon in that thing. It is phenomenal gas mileage, right? What's the biggest selling car in the United States? Trucks and SUVs. People are still buying big. They can talk all they want about, oh, we care about the environment. They're buying gigantic trucks. F-150 and Silvers are the biggest selling. People are still buying giant trucks. Trucks are getting bigger and bigger, and people are still buying them. This whole idea that electric cars are going to be what's taken over is shown to be a total fantasy. They're buying the exact opposite. Big, giant gas hog trucks, not little electric cars. or even big electric cars. And the hilarious thing is, 2024, GM only sold 7,400 electric Silverados, but they sold 549,000 regular Silverados. So, yes, nobody's buying those electric trucks. They should give up, but hey, corporations dead from the neck up. We're the Norwegians who drive an awful lot of electric cars do this test every year to see how far do these electric cars actually go in the cold. The Norwegians call it El-Pre, and they've been doing it for 6 years. It's the world's largest EV range test. They do a summer and a winter test. They just did the winter test. They did 24 brand new EVs, charged the EVs as high as they could, and drove them until they died. They didn't care. It was a test, right? They had places to tow them back when they were done. Well, here's the hilarious thing. Tesla didn't do all that good in it, even though they have their long-range car, right? The winner was the Polestar 3. It only lost 5% from the cold. It had a range of 348 miles on paper, and it went 330. Not bad. Now, the next one was one you probably never heard of, the BYD Tang. It's a Chinese one. It has a claimed range of 329, and it went 300 miles, which was a 9% difference. They lost 9% of their power. Now, Tesla had their long-range Model 3, the one with the facelift, right? It came in 21st place out of the 24 cars. It lost 24% of its range when it was cold. And here's the hilarious thing on top of it. Besides the disappointing result in their range test, losing 24% of their range, the Tesla Model 3 had an unusual issue. Its onboard trip meter was way off and lied about the distance covered. It looks like you're going further than you are because the trip odometer didn't read correctly. Oh, I certainly could program that in, I remember when I was a kid, Father took me to a racetrack. We flew to Albany, New York, and then rented a car. And everyone was passing us, even though we were going 75, right? I thought, well, that's weird. They used to have mile markers, right? 1 mile, and then they would go a mile later. So I measured it, and it turns out that we're actually going about 60 miles an hour, but the speedometers were set in those rental cars to make it look like you're going faster than you were, so people wouldn't speed as much in the rental cars. When we were going 75, we were actually going about 55. He's even cheating with the odometers to make it look like you're going further than you actually are to fool you. Now, you're going to see this in a lot of cars. You'll see your gas mileage rating, and it'll say, you just got 35 miles a gallon. You're like, no way. I'm filling this thing up a lot more than that. Turns out you're really getting 25, but the trip odometer just lies to you and tells you you're getting 35 miles a gallon. I mean, watch those things. Sometimes you'll look at a car, it'll tell you you're getting 80 miles a gallon because you're going downhill. The stuff just isn't accurate. I made videos tell you why you shouldn't go to an automatic car wash because they do things like they scratch your paint. You got those giant brushes, right? And they're whipping on your car. Well, realize that they're also whipping on all the other cars that went to the car wash, and they're covered with dirt and grime, which is friction. So you got dirt and grime, and these giant things are flapping on your car's paint. Guess what? They put in micro scratches. Get yourself a little magnifying glass. If you go to car washes all the time, you'll see you got a lot of little scratches on your paint, right? Well, it can get a lot worse, as a man drove his Tesla through a Whitewater Express car wash. He was driving it, all of a sudden, bang, bang, bang. He's like, whoa, 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 what's going on? It turns out that one of these straps inside the machine, those clamp down straps, came off, and it wrapped itself around, guess what? The giant beater machine with all those big pieces hanging down that flop and clean the dirt off your car. So instead of cleaning the dirt off your car, it beat the heck out of his Tesla with the snap buckle. Bang, bang, bang. Cracked the windshield, broke sides, scratched, dented the hood. Can you imagine? Whitewater Express car wash said they were going to take care of it. But then he finds out that, well, you're going to have to go through our insurance company. Well, la, 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 la. So the guy said, the heck with that. And he told his own insurance company, I went to this car wash. Can you handle this stuff? And so now his insurance company's going to handle it. But you know what happens when you have your insurance company handled? Your rates generally go up. Even though it's not his fault, it's their fault. But it just shows another reason why not to go to a car wash. It's bad enough that all those big pieces that are hanging down from the wiping machines are flapping like mad, and they're dirty because theoretically theoretically, you'd have to clean them every single time. I tell people, if you want to wash your car right, what you really need is a bucket of soap. Then you need a rinse bucket, and you need a bunch of clear towels for cleaning and drying it off. And you need like a nice wool mitt, because wool doesn't scratch. You clean it in your clean bucket, but then you got to rinse it off in a rinse bucket. Then you clean it some more, and then you rinse it. You're even rinsing it while you're washing your one car. Imagine if you were washing 100 cars in a day, and you kept the same old dirty mitt. It's going to get dirt, and it's not like your hand is wiping it. It's just machines flapping around like mad. And it's bad enough that the little pieces of dirt can scratch your paint. Heaven forbid, like this guy, a buckle in a machine broke off and got wrapped up in it. It beat the heck out of his car, and he ended up having his own insurance paying for it. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.